Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Jabroni Drive, the fastest growing professional wrestling podcast in the history of professional wrestling podcasts. On this week's episode, we cover the Bloodline, Jey Uso's decision, Paul Heyman, Seth Rollins ambushed by the Judgment Day, Paul Heyman, did I say that? LA Knight, Bron Breakker, and Money in the Bank. Tim, you have anything you'd like to say to all the Schmidt Lavellites out there?
Well, if you're not down with that, we got 2 words for you, Tommy.
Suck it! Oh my goodness. You're going to have to, for those of you listening, we just got done watching.
Did I get cut out again on that one?
No, I heard it.
All right, perfect.
Sounded good, doggy. We just got done watching the Seth Rollins-Bron Breakker match. Tim, what a match. Great for NXT, great for WWE. You're elevating wrestlers. You're bringing main roster guys down to this developmental show. All these eyes on the TV. You got the heavyweight championship on the line. Just a real quick thoughts on the match, the build, the show, everything like that. What did you think?
Format. All right, so let me just say this. So I have not watched a single episode of NXT in my life.
We're breaking walls down. We're moving.
And today, I actually tuned in and I saw the North American Heavyweight Championship out, which was wild. And I want to kind of address that because we watched Mustafa Ali referee that match tonight on NXT, where a month ago the dude was wrestling, I should say, Gunther for the Intercontinental title. So
Saudi Arabia at a major premium live event. Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. But so regardless, kudos has to go out to what they're doing right now with this championship belt. And Seth Rollins is such a deserving champion, and he's earned what he's doing right now. And what Triple H set out to be, what this title is coming to fruition, and we're seeing it. Look, for the people that don't tune in to NXT like me, I'm sure that you probably followed Seth Rollins to NXT tonight to see him defend his title against Bron Breakker. And I knew of Bron Breakker just from conversations with you. And I knew that he was a descendant of a Steiner brother, one or the other. And it was just cool to see a title defense in almost like a kind of like an indie circuit type of atmosphere.
I love that intimate atmosphere. I think it's great. Yeah. I always liked the the Hammerstein Ballroom that they used to have the Monday Night Raws back in the day.
Yeah.
Just not a ton of people. Like, there's something to be said about that intimate atmosphere, that indie type scene, or just like a smaller ECW arena, something like that, where the fans are right on top of you. You hear everything they say.
But it's bigger than what the venue calls for, right? Like, it's a WWE World Heavyweight title match, and there's 3,500 people in the building.
Yeah, limited seats. It's only few get to see this live.
And it's not COVID era. It's just like, hey, listen, if you decide that, if for some reason you decided to buy a ticket to the NXT show, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, and you showed up and you get to see number one, Bron Breakker versus Seth Rollins, and then you get to see Finn Balor come in. And look, I know they're all NXT guys in the past, but like they're major superstars now, right? And
Yeah.
these guys are showing up. It's like showing up to a Thursday night game, like a an off game in baseball, and seeing like Mickey Mantle walk up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh
Right.
shit, the Mets playing tonight. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
But
You're at a local
it's
softball game. Next thing you know, Aaron Judge is in the batter's box. And you're like, what
right.
is happening?
Yeah, right. Yeah. So it's probably a better comparison, but um, and you know what, dude? And I said this to you during our live broadcast. Like, it seems like these two dudes have had experience in the ring before. Maybe they did some, some sparring or something like that, and um, it worked well. Like the whole match worked well together.
Right. I
Yeah,
wonder
when
how
you
much
go,
time they actually have had together. Because, they probably have had some stuff, but it's got to be limited. And for them to put on the match that they did was really quite impressive. And just kudos to Seth and to Bron Breakker for being able to pull such a match off.
so I'm not going to say it was like the greatest match in the world, but I mean it held up for for what I'm looking at as a guy that is holding the world title, right? And he's going down a level, right? He's going essentially into the minor leagues to wrestle their best guy. You would assume, like, if you look at it just in general purposes, the dude that's in the majors is definitely going to fucking kill the guy in the minors, right?
Right.
And they were able to carry on a match that was riveting, that kept your interest, and
Yeah.
for the
Breaker
most
hits that
part,
spear and you think, oh shit, maybe he's got him.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, I think it was really well done, and and big ups to WWE for really kind of showcasing this type of belt. If this is the way the belt is going to be defended, I think I think it has more meaning than what Reigns is holding, because this dude is defending the belt everywhere. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
well, yeah, while Reigns is sitting there and he's like, hey, whoever wants to fight me can fight me, right? So he's sitting on his throne, and Seth Rollins is taking a different approach. He's proactive, and he's like, hey, I'll fight anyone, anywhere, any way.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a cool dynamic. And if they keep that, I think I think it's going to make great for differentiating the two titles. And I think that's the biggest hurdle that the WWE has had with having two titles is like, hey, who's the real title holder?
Who's the guy?
Who is the man? And right now, to me, it's Seth Rollins.
Ooh. Well, huh. There is a way. Is Seth Rollins the man right now? I mean, I can't say that. I can't. I gotta say it's still Roman, but I see what you're saying, and I love it. And it's similar to what they used to do. They did with John Cena a couple years back when he was the United States champion, and so he was the United States champion. And every Monday night he would come out and he would hold the United States Championship Open Challenge, and this was great because it made it able for wrestlers who were in NXT or in developmental to come up, have a match, or even guys that had become jobbers almost to showcase themselves and put on a great match. And it was great for
Dolph Ziggler.
Cena. Well, the big ones that I can think of that it helped was Neville, who's now Pac in AEW. Sami Zayn came in. Unfortunately, Sami Zayn got injured pre-match when he fought John Cena for the United States Championship, but it was still a great match. He dislocated his shoulder before the match even started and wrestled the whole match to a great match. Um, Kevin Owens, his first appearance on Monday Night Raw, he beat John Cena. And so either way, it's this match where he held open challenges and it was for United States title, and it built up John Cena, who people at the time were chanting that he couldn't wrestle. He would put on one 5-star match after another against all these developmental guys, kind of like what Seth just did with Bron Breakker. Now, is that a 5-star match? I don't know, but it was very good. It was very entertaining. I really enjoyed the whole match. It showcased Bron, and I think we said multiple times during the match, like we could see him now up against a Gunther, up against a Roman, up against anyone on the card. If you can go toe to toe with Seth Rollins, you can fight anyone in
So
WWE.
why are they holding him back?
Who, Bron Breakker?
Yeah, why is he still in NXT? Like
I don't think he's going to be in NXT for long. He teased
hold
on
on,
Raw.
hold on, Tom.
Yeah.
Tom, let me ask you a question.
Mhm.
I want to pose a question to you. Why, Tom? Why was Bron Breakker not drafted in the WWE draft?
Well, Tim, I think that's a whole nother discussion, that
Yeah.
the pointlessness of the WWE draft, and I think we're gonna touch on that later. And it seems to happen every episode, every SmackDown, every Raw, now every NXT, of the point of the draft, why they're doing these things, why they're not doing these things. Bron Breakker just went way over. Like, he just got over for a guy that, like, a Grayson Waller, who was drafted, has been just doing talk shows every week. You know what I mean? The Bron Breakker gets
Wait,
to have a champion.
wait,
He wasn't drafted.
Grayson Waller hasn't actually wrestled.
I haven't seen a match of his, so it's like not on the main roster. All I've seen is talk shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so before, like, yeah, the draft is pointless. Okay. Why wasn't he drafted? I don't know. He was an obvious call up. He's one of the guys, but maybe they had this idea of the working man's championship in line, and they thought, hey, this is going to be something we're going to do. And you get to have Bron Breakker, who is the name in NXT, going against Seth Rollins, who's the name on Monday Night Raw, and arguably the biggest name in WWE right now. I would still say it's Roman Reigns, but if it's not Roman Reigns, it's Seth Rollins. But so let's get into a little bit of Monday Night Raw real quick. And Seth Rollins, he comes out. He did have the United States, or the Heavyweight Championship Open Challenge, and Finn Balor came out and attacked him from behind while he's getting his chance going on to. And so what last week was almost a cringeworthy moment when Finn was trying to give his promo and he couldn't get through it with the crowd chanting and stuff like that. I feel like they've rebounded really well this week in Finn's attack on Seth, and not only in the ring, but also backstage. I thought it was a very good attack. It reminded me of that ruthlessness, that Brock Lesnar attack on Cody Rhodes the night after WrestleMania, where it was like, man, he's really laying it in. And then Judgment Day comes out and they're talking shit while Seth Rollins' fans are still trying to chant his music, or chant his song. And Finn is just going through it and saying what he has to say, which is what he should have done the week before. And I think Finn is coming out looking really good. We were talking about the end of the match when Finn then, after the Bron Breakker match, came and attacked Seth Rollins, and you said, man, they're doing the right thing here. And you seem to think Seth Rollins has a hand in this, and I agree that he knows that Finn is valuable and needs to be a valuable player up here on the main roster. And to elevate Finn's character is important for not just Seth Rollins in this feud, but for WWE as a whole. And I think Finn is being elevated. I'm liking his character development and his more ruthlessness moving forward. I don't know if you're noticing that, Tim, but maybe your
Well,
thoughts
no,
on that.
I mean, yeah, no, I said that. I said that during the match. I said, look, like there is certainly a change in the direction of Finn Balor. We've seen that over the course, like we've highlighted it on this show, like how, like, when he gets on a mic, it's like we're not really we're not really buying it, right? And
Right.
they've kind of given him an out with this like ruthless type of aggression type persona, and it's starting to really play pretty well. And what I see is a guy um that knows that he's on the verge. He's knocking on the step. Like, look, they gave him an opportunity with this whole Judgment Day thing as the leader, and it's honestly it's fallen short in my opinion. Um, the guy that's coming out best in this whole faction is Dom, and now it's like, hey, dude, what are you gonna do?
And I
What are
would say
you?
this, sorry, Tim, real quick. Not just Dom coming out the best. I would say Dom, Damian Priest, then Finn Balor. Like of the three guys in there, I'd say he's third. Sorry, but you're
Yeah,
saying what are
yeah.
you gonna do?
No. He's like, so it's like, hey, look, dude. It's like shit or get off the pot, right? Like what are we gonna do with you now moving forward? Because we've tried this couple different things with Finn, and they've fallen flat, and this is his time, and he's showing a little bit more aggression, a little bit more character development. Yeah, I'm not saying he's better on the mic, but his spots are different, right? Like he's talking about things that are a little bit more meaningful, right? They're a little bit more matter of fact. And yeah, you said like in the back, like the attack on Seth Rollins at Raw
Yeah.
was pretty good. Like they showed the belt, and he when that 7 years thing kind of like fell flat in the ring, he brought it up again in the back,
Right.
and it had a little bit more of an impact to me.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, I hope. Look, I like Finn Balor. I like his character. I've told you before. I like his look. I hate his finishing move, but I mean, they're not going to go away from that.
Yeah.
But the guy is starting to really step up his game, right? And I hope that management's in his ear and saying, "Hey, look, dude, it's time. It's time for you to make a difference. So either step up or fucking get out of the way." And I think that we're seeing him now take ownership of his character, take ownership now of, and maybe he steps into a better role now with Judgment Day, because like it feels like it was like a rudderless ship with Judgment Day, right? It felt like it was kind of like, all right, like who's really running this show?
Well, Tim, so now you're saying that he's stepping up and you're saying, all right, now's the time to shit or get off the pot. He's been giving opportunities and they've all kind of fallen flat, but now we're starting to pick up steam here and we're coming into this pay-per-view next week. Tim, is there a chance that Finn Balor takes the belt off of Seth Rollins right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a realistic possibility of that happening. Um, but if you look at the arc of his character, right? He hasn't held a belt in a long period of time. He's now feuding with another member of Judgment Day, right? So like, do it's kind of hard to kind of see where it goes, right? Like you want to think that with all this like attacking behind the stages, like right, like it's constant, like that it's going to create a big feud, right? But there's also this other part that you're looking at is like, hey, Damian Priest is also, they're going for the money in the bank, and like it's like, all right, where does this really end up? So um I think that they're doing a great job with creating the angles, but
Now,
I
what
don't
if
know.
Finn wins? What if we get to Money in the Bank? Damian Priest wins the contract. Finn Balor beats Seth Rollins and becomes the champion. I mean, that does set up for a pretty interesting dynamic in the Judgment Day then, where you've got the guy that's holding the contract to cash in on the heavyweight
So
championship.
I don't think Judgment Day is that impactful that they would do that. Like I don't think that Judgment Day really holds that much weight in the WWE right now because they don't hold multiple titles. Like, look, Mommy has the title, right?
Right.
And Dom's is now wrestling Cody Rhodes, and Damian Priest has a shot at whatever title he wants if he wins the title. But like, I just don't think they have that much holding power to say like, oh my God, there's a big riff in Judgment Day. That's a huge story. It's not to me. Like Seth Rollins or not Seth Rollins, Finn Balor or Damian Priest, leaving the Judgment Day wouldn't be a big deal to me. Someone
Right.
joining the Judgment Day would be.
Huh.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like I don't really think that's as impactful. So I don't see like them going in that direction as like there's this big beef between Damian Priest and Finn Balor, even though we've seen some cracks, but I just don't think it's worth the storyline. You get what I'm saying?
Right. All right. So we have that thought there, and we like kind of where the character of Finn Balor is headed, and curious to see where this plays out. Now, Money in the Bank's coming up, and we had a big moment on Raw this past week where Logan Paul on Raw, first time in a while, declares himself for the Money in the Bank. And then after he declares himself, there's the parade of wrestlers who are now in the Money in the Bank coming out, each claiming they're going to win the Money in the Bank. Tim, the biggest pop of them all, and this is someone that we've been talking about for a while, and it seems to be taking off on his name with everybody saying L.A. Knight. We love L.A. Knight. I love LA Knight. You love LA Knight. The guy, every time he's on the TV, I'm tuning in. I want to watch. And we've been catching clips all over social media of former professional wrestlers, analysts, everyone out there making their takes. This guy, he seems to have it all. He's a little bit older than maybe you would like him to be. I mean, I'm telling you, if he's a 30-year-old person, it's like strap a rocket to him. But if I'm going to pick someone to win the Money in the Bank contract, I think it's LA Knight because he's going to be widely like very, very entertaining. Is that who you think is going to win or should win the Money in the Bank contract?
So wait, Money in the Bank is this upcoming weekend, right?
It's not this Saturday, the following Saturday. It'll be
So
July
so
1st.
next week we got to do something that we've never done. We got to do predictions.
Predictions. Okay.
All right.
All right. Next
So
week we will predict that we'll have the card basically locked down and we can predict our
and
outcome.
the loser has to go out and do Tommy Lavelle 40.
Tommy's 40th. Get
Yeah.
Tom's 40th drunk. Oh God. I'm not doing that again.
No, so yeah, I think that it doesn't make sense for anyone else to win than LA Knight. I mean, the dude's hotter than can be right now. He's over as much as you can be. He's like in that little segment there. Yeah, we got the same segment as we got on SmackDown the week before with the women's like Money in the Bank, right? Like all the women came out and that fell flat. And we get it with the men, and you got guys that are a little bit stronger on the mic, right? And like it plays better. And what what LA Knight does is just it's good, dude. He's good.
He
It's
came out. He
expected.
said the two guys, yeah, you got Shinsuke Nakamura and Ricochet in there. You guys are as worthless as a pair of basketball cleats. And he said, you got Logan Paul who's making videos for 14-year-old girls,
Yeah,
saying he's a megastar. Well, there can only be one megastar. And I got a gift for you. Here's a little map.
yeah,
You can follow this map. You can take all those bottles of Prime, and this will show you exactly where to shove them.
yeah. No,
Dude, he kills it. And then even the back behind the scenes is promo that you were showing me with the Wu-Tang Clan, and then
yeah.
looking at these eyes, don't get lost in the sauce. It's like this
He
dude
he
has it.
well, he has it, and he talked about former wrestlers like lauding this guy, and I watched a little bit of the Bully Ray podcast, and he said like, "Look, this guy's got every tool," and he's right, dude. He does. I mean, like obviously he knows better than we do. He's a former wrestler, but if he's identifying this guy as a guy that's it's on the verge of being one of the best, I mean, we should probably take heed to it because the dude it just delivers every time he comes out. It's fun to watch him. You don't see a lot of them, like you said. You don't see him wrestling a ton, but like we need to see more of it, right, to contribute to what that's going to look like. But he's certainly exploding on every level, dude. He is the next best thing. I mean, he's certainly fantastic on the mic. Um,
Can't
yeah,
say
we
enough
see.
about LA Knight, Tim, and we love LA Knight, right? And so I guess my question is then, we think he should be the one to win Money in the Bank. But really, I want to say there's three front runners to win Money in the Bank. LA Knight, Damian Priest, and Logan Paul. Right? I mean, and then a fourth would be
First,
Ricochet,
no,
Shinsuke.
first of all, why can you tell me why Logan Paul is in the Money in the Bank?
This is why Logan Paul's in the Money in the Bank. One, super athletic. You know he's going to do something crazy. You've seen the
Mm,
spots off the
yeah,
top
yep,
ropes. Him
yep,
and
yep,
Ricochet's having a
yeah,
moment.
yeah, yeah.
Two, he has a huge social media following.
Mhm.
WWE and every company in the world is just trying to gain more and more viewers. Schmidt and Lavelle and Jabroni Drive are trying to gain more viewers. You know what I mean? But so they're trying to tap into a pool that they haven't tapped into, and Logan Paul helps them do that. And he's a draw. I'm guaranteeing numbers were up with Logan Paul on Monday Night Raw. You know, he's a draw. There's no doubt about it. So I think
Do you think
he's
Logan Paul? Do you think? Can I ask you a serious question?
yes.
Do you think Logan Paul knows why Brock Lesnar attacked Cody Rhodes?
Well, Tim, I'm going to tell you I think maybe Logan Paul had something to do with it. I'm thinking he had something to do with it. No, I
Yeah.
I really do think that Brock Lesnar attack on Cody Rhodes is going to come out, and I think Triple H has a hand in that attack on Cody Rhodes. I think he's
Really? You really
working.
do think?
I really do think so. I think Triple H is, has the history. It makes sense that he would send Brock out there to attack Cody as kind of his
Impressive. Impressive.
assassin, if you will. But to take him out, they've definitely got history. But I could see Logan Paul winning Money in the Bank because he's a part timer, and now every time Logan Paul's announced for the show, it's like, whoa, what's going on here? Logan Paul has the Money in the Bank contract. Wait, you're saying Seth Rollins has a match tonight, and Logan Paul's going to be in the building? You know what I mean? He could cash it in. I could totally see them giving Logan Paul this win, especially since Logan Paul has lost his last two matches. He lost to Roman Reigns at Crown Jewel for the championship, and he lost to Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. So they're due to give him a win, and Logan Paul isn't just going to keep showing up and losing.
Yeah, you will if he gets fucking paid every goddamn time. Yes, he will.
Well, if you get paid how much is he getting paid? You can get paid a certain amount, but then ruin your credibility by losing every time you show up. You know what I mean? You have to
I
you have
keep
to
showing
win at
up.
some point. He lost twice. He won twice and then lost
I'm saying
twice.
I keep on showing up to the show.
Yeah, true. But I could see that. I could see Damian Priest. I would say those are my top three front runners. We will be making predictions next week. I would love, Tim, if I were to pick one thing to happen, and I think you strap a rocket to him, you got Gunther. Right after SummerSlam, shortly after,
Already.
he's gonna eclipse the longest reign of an Intercontinental Champion of all time.
No, I thought it was. I thought he already did.
No, he didn't eclipse it yet. And so you get LA Knight to win the Money in the Bank. Gunther then breaks the record. Shortly after there, he's in a match. He's beat down. He's down in the dumps. He's been attacked. LA Knight comes in, cashes in, beats Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. Tim, would the pop be insane if
It'd
LA
be
Knight came
nuts.
in and cashed in on Gunther to win the Money in the Bank contract?
Oh, especially dude, it's in LA too, so that would be huge.
So, what's in LA?
The show.
If the show was in LA,
No, it's in LA.
what's in LA?
The show.
Shut up. What are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about. Detroit is SummerSlam. We've got
I thought it was in LA. I thought it was in Los Angeles.
no, that was
It's not.
WrestleMania.
Ah,
It doesn't matter where it's at because LA
I was
Knight
just
is nationwide.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
of
know.
course.
I don't know what you're doing right now, Tim. In LA, what are you talking about? It's in LA. All right. Either way, next subject. We were at SmackDown this past week, and something I wanted to talk about. Really one of the biggest stories of the week, the decision by Jey Uso. Tim, we talk a lot about the bloodline, where this story is, how it's unfolding. It's been so good. It's to me the best storyline that WWE may have ever done, WWE, but at least
All
in the
right.
last 20
Slow it
years.
down. Slow it down a little bit.
Tim,
All right.
it might be. It might be the greatest story they've ever done.
I mean,
However, we get to Jey Uso's decision. Tim, I just want to briefly touch on, and we seem to text about this every week. Paul Heyman's involvement in the bloodline story as the wise man, his facial expressions, everything he does, he plants the seeds, he does this, he does that. He did it with Sami Zayn. Shmooly, we were doing this and that. He's done it with Jey. And this past week, when they're talking about Jimmy's loyalty to Jey and who didn't want Jey to be the right-hand man, it was one man, and Paul gives the look like, it was you. It was
like,
you. Yeah, it was right there, And he comes over. Yes, my tribal chief. I love you, my tribal chief. Everything that he does. He's the greatest weasel, I think, in the history of professional wrestling. And I don't know if we talk about him enough. Me and you have loved him since we were kids with ECW. He was
no. I mean, I never was a big Heyman guy. I
but
liked
he's
him.
the guy that set it up. When we look back and we think ECW, you think Paul Heyman.
Yeah, he's a complete shithead. And
Right.
yeah, he's a guy that you just gotta go, you know what? All right, I'll deal with it. And that's the guy. But yeah, no, I mean Heyman has been look, dude, he's been integral in a lot of these guys, dude. Like if you look at the WWE in the last 10 years, right? And you look at their champions. I mean,
Brock
there's two
Lesnar,
guys,
Roman Reigns.
and that's it.
And
And
CM Punk. He was a CM Punk advocate for a little bit. You
yeah,
can go a little before that too.
and that's before my time. But like I look at that and I go, this dude has been the mouthpiece for guys. And the way I see it is that like these two dudes were not strong mic guys. They needed a Heyman to kind of get them over a little bit, right?
Right.
And early in their careers, like it was a struggle, and it's a stroke of genius for whoever it was to make the decision. It was probably Vince to say, hey, all right, look, I need Paul Heyman on. It's essentially in golf, like when you put a caddy, with a golfer. It's like, hey, look, we need Paul Heyman on the Brock Lesnar bag, and he needs to fucking tell him what to fucking do.
Next
And
thing you know,
that's
he's winning every major in the big. You know what? It is funny that you say that. So Paul Heyman said when he was with Brock Lesnar, and Brock would take his breaks, and this was like the big thing. And we've talked about Roman and his breaks from WWE, and so he was taking a break. There was contract negotiations. Paul was doing his thing, and he had written down that there was only two other people that Paul would work with, because Paul can elevate anyone, but he's not going to just do anyone because it's not good for him to do that. You know, he can't just go with anyone. He has to be able to elevate these guys. And the two names on the list were Ronda Rousey and Roman Reigns. And so Paul was there on the sidelines. He gets a call from Vince. Hey, I'm going to have you in here. I want to put you with something else. So Ronda Rousey was pregnant. So he knew it wasn't going to be Ronda Rousey. And he would say, hey, Vince, in my contract, it says that I can't be with anyone of those. He's like, yeah, well, I'm putting you with Roman, you know? And that was the beginning of him going with Roman and their
Yeah.
collaboration now together. So it was Vince that did make that decision. And I mean, you know, when we talk about sometimes Triple H gets credit, Vince gets shit on. I mean, he made the decision for Paul to go with Roman, which is paid in dividends.
It's tough though. It's tough to sit there and say like, "Hey, man, like that's like." As much as I want to give credit to Roman, right, for his development, right, like he's always been a good wrestler.
Right.
Like his tech, his whole technicality in the ring and his like all that stuff like has never been questioned, but it's always been like his mic skills and how he got over. And then when Heyman joined him, it turned into what he is now. So like, am I crazy? Am I nuts for thinking that, or is that right? Is that accurate?
No, that's accurate. And I think Paul Heyman gave him, I guess, like the street cred. You know what I mean? He's now a Paul Heyman guy. And now Roman, who then was a babyface, is now a heel. You know, part of the reason why Roman was hated so much was that he was a pushed face, and it was like he was the guy that they were gonna pump no matter
He's a
what.
chosen guy. Yeah,
He
he's
was
a
the
chosen guy.
chosen one, and so people were anti that. Almost like when they have Cody Rhodes wrestle with a broken arm, and people are like, "What the fuck, dude? Like, we know his arm's not broken." You know what I mean? This is where you're gonna get pushback because as much as people would like to think professional wrestling fans are these hick hillbillies that don't know shit. It's like we want to make it make sense. Make the draft make sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, why did Brock attack Cody? He doesn't have a broken arm.
Why
LA
is
Knight was
LA
on
Knight?
Monday Night Raw and was
Why is
drafted
he
to
on Raw?
SmackDown, right? So they like to say all that shit, but it's not true. Professional wrestling fans are actually very like they are into it and they get the realism
Well, they
of
follow the story.
professional.
They're fucking
Right.
soap opera, dude. They're soap opera fans, dude. This is what we do.
Yeah.
Like we love a story, dude, and like it's just the shit just doesn't add up, and you go like this. All right, well that doesn't make sense at all. Like why the hell is this dude rocking a fucking brace when his arm's not really actually even broken? It makes
Right.
no sense.
Yeah. And so
But
it's the things like that will give you pushback. So I think him not being the guy, like the baby face helped, and then the street cred from Paul Heyman made it so that okay, Roman Reigns now, everyone's like, I dig Roman Reigns now. You know what I mean? They do knock him for his in-ring ability. They say he only's got like 4 or 5 moves, which isn't too far off base, but guess what? He draws. Hulk Hogan didn't have a ton of moves. Stone Cold, after his neck injuries, didn't have a ton of moves. The Rock did not have a ton of moves. You know what I mean? These guys were just big time draws. Now, Tim, Jey Uso, back to the bloodline. He made the decision. What a segment. Every time it's great. I love watching these segments. I enjoyed it so much. Jey Uso on the mic, man, he is like you talked about his first time cutting a promo
yeah,
to
yeah.
now today cutting promos.
Dude,
And
I'm like a little like schoolboy, dude. Like I'm getting myself lost, as LA Knight would say. I'm getting lost in the sauce.
lost in the sauce, doggy.
Dude, I'm going back and watching shit and seeing things that obviously I'm a newcomer to the new era of wrestling, but uh seeing the development of these guys over the course of their time at WWE is fantastic. Like I seen it with the Usos. Like they came out when one of their first promos was like fucking brutal, dude. Like I watched it, and I don't know if we can
The
show it, but
face
like
pain and the whole deal, and they were with some
yeah,
chick. I forget who she was,
yeah, and And from that to where they're at right now with the storytelling and the selling that they're doing, right, is just it's crazy, dude. It's like
It's
these
great
are the same
acting. It's
they're the
great
same people.
storytelling.
And yeah, look, Jay, he look, we identified Jimmy. And look, here's what I'm trying to say is like they the WWE and whoever's in control of creative right now is doing such a great job on keeping the fans on just like such an axis, right? Like, hey, like, oh, it's Jimmy, and he's the one that's the betraying, right? Right, he's the guy, and then all of a sudden, like, you're like, oh, well, what's going on with Jay? Oh, Jay's staying with the bloodline, and like Jimmy's the ostracized guy, and like in the family, and then all of a sudden, like, you watch SmackDown, and you're like, dude, like it looks like Jay's staying with the bloodline, and then all of a sudden,
He turns and that kick,
dude,
dude.
it was awesome. And you're like, oh fuck. Like
Yes.
you're like, dude, like this, and in my eyes, I'm like, this dude is gonna be fucking cheesy and he's gonna join the bloodline, he's gonna stick with the bloodline, and this is gonna be like fucking annoying. And it just turns into just awesomeness. And it's exactly what you needed, right? Because like the
Yeah.
bloodline is fine. You could run the bloodline for another 2 years, dude. Probably.
You could run it for a
And
while because then eventually you can have a bloodline reunion where they all get back together. And now it's like we're back and we're to get like they did it
yeah,
with the Shield and stuff like that. Like these things happen, and there's the highs and the lows of everything, kind of like Tom's 40th birthday. But so what about that double super kick on
awesome.
Roman? Have you ever seen a better super kick? I mean, I never seen one sold better than that. I thought that was incredible.
Yeah, well, I mean, it takes everyone to tango in these situations. And um yeah, Roman just ate it and ate it hard and took it deep, and it was fucking great, dude.
And
And
I
it's
think part of
believable.
that is them being related, Tim. Sorry to say it, but like when you have wrestlers like in the past that are good friends, like a Triple H and a HBK would have a huge feud, and they would say, "Hey, we're gonna go out there, but we're laying it in." You know what I mean? Because you're my guy, we're my guy. We know what we have to do. We've seen it with Gunther and
You gotta
Sheamus and
push,
Drew McIntyre.
push the envelope, right?
Yeah,
Make it,
because you know, like if me and you
gotta
were
make it
going to
sell.
Tim, we got to sell. We're out here, we got to do this. So I think they did it, and man, did it hit. And it's funny because Roman said in his promo, "I know what the people want. They want answers, Jay. What's the answer? Are you with me?" And it's funny as this story goes on, and there's like mysteries to what's going to happen, where are we going to go? Every little answer we get is so good and so big back from, you know, when they had the matches at Summer, or when they had the match at Survivor Series with the in the what the fuck's it called? Either way, they had the Battle Royal in the cage. And so then they had the trial of Sami Zayn. Then they had the turn at Royal Rumble. Then they had Elimination Chamber. Then they had the build to WrestleMania. Then the tag. Then they had this and now we're here in this point. Tim, where do we go from here? They've posted Civil War at Money in the Bank, Solo and Roman versus the Usos. I'm very much looking forward to this match, but it seems to me like Roman has been on the losing end of these for the last couple weeks, not
Yeah,
all the time.
we're on the edge of the bloodline extinction, and I don't know how I feel about it. I would love to see. I kind of want to see the bloodline stick around for a little while, right? Like I don't know, like do they separate and then that we start adding members to it? I don't know if there's any other members of the bloodline that are still around, but like I said from the beginning, dude, like that, like the solo thing doesn't do it for me. Like I'm out on that. Um, So it seems like it's just gonna dissipate, and they do this tag team match. And I mean, I don't a stable isn't two guys, dude. Like that's a
Right.
tag team. So like you need to either add to your faction or, and like I said this a couple weeks ago, like yeah, Roman's kind of doing this his own thing, like with the old like, hey, doing like the Hollywood thing, and maybe he's got to take a couple weeks off and do like the Fast and Furious like franchise, and he's got to go away. But like, it just doesn't make sense to me, with how it's going to play out. So yeah, they wrestle each other, and then what?
Yeah. Where does it go after that? Depending like on who wins or whatever. I'm thinking, and this is something I'd love to see to keep it going. I'm thinking of a kind of a casino type moment where you got Jay maybe handcuffed to a ropes and they're beating Jimmy down and making Jay watch, then beat him down at the end of Money in the Bank. And next thing you know, I feel like at Money in the Bank, Roman has to retaliate. The Empire strikes back, and you leave Jimmy and Jay in a on the floor with a bunch of flowers on top of them from the Lays, and they're out cold, done, just obliterated. And then you can have a little bit of time with them not on TV for then the comeback to let's retaliate maybe at a Survivor Series, and then you break it up into a singles kind of thing. I don't know, but I'm interested to see where it's going. And we were talking about creative where it is. I don't want to leave out a guy named Rob Fee, who has been the head of long-term creative since last, I want to say August. He had a lot to do with Marvel. He's done a lot of different things. I think him and Triple H are on top of the creative right now. And we were really down on him right after WrestleMania, but man, they've started the pay-per-views have definitely delivered, or premium live events, we call them whatever they are. And the Raws and the SmackDowns have been delivering as well, I would say, in the last month. We still don't have an answer on Brock, and we still think that the broken arm is a little bit silly. But besides that, I'm starting to see the development of, the different under characters and the main roster story still building up. So
No, I
Tim,
agree. I agree with you.
going from there, another team I want to touch on real quickly, a team that we both highly enjoy, another over wrestler, Chad Gable, Otis, the Alpha Academy.
Mm.
Something that we enjoy all their matches. I'm liking what they're doing with Maxine Dupree, where she's learning the moves from Chad Gable and she's putting them into use in the ring. I guess my question is, do Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens have to lose the tag titles? Because I feel like there's a lot of tag teams out there that could come up and be pushed and get huge pops and be big, big draws, but they're not going to be able to
Yeah.
do it against Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. So
Yeah,
who
I
can
said
take them
this.
down? And can Alpha Academy be a team that comes up?
So I told you this before when we talked about Sammy and KO winning the titles. I said they can't hold the titles for long because they're two really good individual wrestlers and they need to be featured as such. And the reign's not going to last long. So I think that is my mic working?
Yeah, dude, you're
All right.
hitting it.
I think that they got to find a tag team that's going to last for quite some time. Like, look, I don't believe in the Viking Raiders. Like they're whatever. It just seems like a
Yeah, no, you're right.
man.
I agree.
And I would love to see. I would love to see Alpha Academy. I would love to see a push, like in Gable's way, in one way or another. Like whether it be a single match or if it be the tag team titles, that'd be nice. But like just to see those two dudes in a belt. I would love to see a belt on Otis's body. That'd be funny.
I don't think there's a belt they got that can go on Otis's body, but they
But
can't beat a Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. You know what I mean? Like it has to be a
uh,
bad guy that they have to be going after, right?
yeah, Yeah, I don't know how it's going to work. I don't know how they're going to drop the belts, but I mean, it's got to be something, some way, some shape, way, or form that these guys drop the belt. And there's not a tag team out there that I see that threatens them, except for the Usos. You want to put it back on the Usos, and then so be it.
Yeah, but their faces too. It's like the only heel tag teams I could see. I mean, maybe then if Damian Priest and Finn lose, they form a tag. Like I could see Dom Dom with a tag belt, him and Damian with a tag belt,
Yeah.
and
Him
then
and Finn, maybe.
him and Finn, and then they're the bad guys, and you got an Alpha Academy coming after them. Can you use a Money in the Bank contract to cash in
No,
for tag
no,
belts?
don't even do it. Don't even go there, please. If someone does that, just kill me now.
I'm not saying it's a good idea, but I'm curious if that's never been done. That's I wouldn't want to do that at all. But I'm just like, who is gonna? I
No,
guess an Imperium
stop,
or
stop it.
Pretty Deadly. Those are the only two bad tag
The
teams.
pretty deadly's already the number one contender.
Yeah, but I just feel like, are they? You I guess you're gonna have them take them down, huh?
Mm.
I don't know. I think it has to be separated shortly. I'm trying to think now, Tim. We've covered we've covered a lot. Where else are we headed? The Raw was highly entertaining. The final match of Monday Night Raw, where you had Cody Rhodes
Mm.
and Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens. The
Mm.
arc of Kevin Owens throughout Monday Night Raw was great too. We've talked about him the last couple weeks. He's Is he your favorite wrestler right now? If not, he's one of your favorite guys. And mine too. The guy he's hilarious. He's funny every week. This week when they were talking about was called a rageaholic, and Kevin Owens went, "What? What do you mean I'm a rageaholic?" I lost it. But that whole arc where he's just ready to fight, we get to punch someone in the face finally. I love it. I think he's great. And
No, he's playing a great role. He's found his niche right now. And he does that all the time. Like, he did it with the when he was working with Jericho and he was doing like the list thing with Jericho and they were boys. Like he's adaptable and he can figure it out himself and he's really good at what he does. And it's awesome to watch him work and he's great outside the ring and inside the ring. And he's an asset to WWE.
yeah, I love Kevin Owens. I love Sami Zayn. A lot of people were talking about Monday Night Raw and kind of shitting on it, and I would say the opposite. I thought it was a very entertaining show. There is some things that, like, when Logan Paul comes out and just declares himself for the Money in the Bank, or Alpha Academy going against the Viking Raiders
Later.
again, and it's like, okay, well, we're doing this again. I'd love to see those guys put into more meaningful um
Storylines.
storylines. So we're moving forward, and we're getting closer to Money in the Bank. I'm really looking forward to that pay-per-view. Uh, we'll see where it leads us and where we'll be going with that. Tim, do you have anything else that you'd want to say?
I was wondering where you're going with that.
I was looking to get the music queued up.
Yeah, yeah. No, you know what I got to say, Tom? I got to say, yeah. I got to say, I get on this podcast and everyone seems to be happy, but no one seems to think that they're dealing with.
L.A. Night. So, to all the Schmidt and Lavellites out there, we appreciate you listening to the show. If you like what we're doing, please give us a like, a share, comments, interact with us on social media. Follow us on Jabroni_drive on Twitter if you'd like to have a comment to something that we're tweeting about. We would love to have you do it. Tell your friends about the show. Anyone that you know that likes professional wrestling, tell them to check us out. Because guess what? We know what the fuck we're talking about. We're in touch with the universe. All
You are
right?
not me.
No, Tim, you are. You just watched an NXT event, buddy. You're doing, and something that you talked about earlier, diving into the history of professional wrestling, which is probably the best part of being a professional wrestling fan, is the history of professional wrestling. So some big moments in AEW I just want to point out. CM Punk returns, cuts a promo where he's
one of my favorite wrestlers.
Yeah, where he's shitting on the Young Bucks and doing some other stuff. Entertaining. AEW has been stepping up their game. I would check that out if you're trying to become a peak wrestling fan. Will Ospreay, CM Punk. Until next time, this is Jabroni Drive. My name's Tom Lavelle. As always, I'm accompanied by Mr. Timothy Schmidt, a.k.a. the Schmidtberg, and Tatomka. What do you think about that, Timmy?
Tatomka? You want Tatomka?
Tatomka. Am I getting canceled? I have no idea. But we appreciate you listening. Till next week, be sure to watch your wrestling and eat your vitamins. Or eat your vegetables, take your vitamins.
Say your prayers.
Say your prayers.
Eat your vitamins.
Eat your vitamins. Drink your milk.
Store your purse.
We love you. To all the Schmidt and Lavellites out there, good evening, good night, good afternoon, goodbye, and good night. We love you.